Shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders, a great millstone. And honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I was just surfing Netflix, trying to find something to watch on my downtime, And I came across this program called Comeback Countdown, and the Lord was like, to hell with some downtime, time to do some work. And I just wanted to bring out some scriptures based upon this program, man. I couldn't get a trailer, so I just got it up on IMDb for brothers who got Netflix or who got, Showbox, or there's even some episodes on YouTube if you're interested in this kind of thing, But basically, the series showcases the biggest and best war machines on battlefields around the globe, traveling the world to see the elite technology from the land, sea, and air, meet the brave soldiers who operate them. And they got different photos, so they go, visit, the different militaries, and each episode kind of keys in on a different piece of military equipment. So they got an episode on submarines, they got an episode on speed vehicles, and so on and so forth. And they go through and they show you these instruments of war, right? And the people who are currently conscripted to utilize them. Now, what the deal is that all this equipment and all these people are going to be brought into the war to end all wars. And they're going to perish, man. All right? And if they don't perish by the hands of the enemy, they're going to perish by the hands of the armies of Yahweh Shai upon his return, pursuant to 2 Ezra, the 13th chapter, and Revelations 19, not the 19th chapter. All right? And I just want to get a scripture, man. This is Isaiah 34:1. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it." All right, because this war is going to destroy a lot of people, a lot of animals, a lot of plants, rivers. Hey, it's going to be some serious destruction going on out here. Civilians. It says, "For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations." All right, there is no nation on the face of this planet Earth that the Lord is in good standing with. Even America. Because these fucking Americans seem to think that America is a beacon of light and righteousness. And they actually call the American army God's army. Maybe the God they're talking about is Ares or some idol like that. But they ain't sure as hell ain't the Most High. Alright, the Lord is going to bring judgment on all these different nations, man. These different peoples around the world. By way of this war. He's setting them up to destroy each other. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. The Lord ain't with none of the Lord ain't with the Russian army. He ain't with the American. He ain't with NATO. He ain't with the Nigerian, the Korean. He ain't with China. The Lord ain't with none of these army. The only army that the Lord is with is the army of the 144,000 and the rest of the elect men who are under them. All right, that's the only army that the Lord is dealing with. His own army, which is really the elect men of Israel. Beginning with the 144,000. All right. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. So all these proud ass military men and women with their weapons of war, right, that they trust in, they're going to be delivered up to the slaughter. This World War III is not, I coined the term, the great meat grinder of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, because men are going to enter in one end and ground up flesh is going to exit on the other end. It's a meat grinder for the wicked. That's what World War III is. It's nothing more than a meat grinder. And it don't matter whether you're in the American army or the British army or the Russian army, you're going to be put in that meat grinder, man. All right? Point blank, period. All right? Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. So there's going to be a whole lot of death, man. Dead soldiers, dead civilians, dead cats, dogs, horses, all of that, man. All right? Revelations 19 and 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Because what's going to happen in the process of this war, these armies are going to destroy each other and fight, man. Russia and their allies and America and their allies. And then what's going to happen is, pursuant to prophecy, the 10 horns, NATO, are going to turn their weapons on America. And all these nations are going to destroy America, man. And at the point when the nuclear missiles of all these different nations are launched on America, right, that's when Yahweh Shai is going to make his return. All right? That's when that white horse is going to be seen in the heavens, man. Revelations 19 and 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So the ones of the armies that are left after the destruction of America, that are going to witness the return of Yahweh Shai, the Lord is going to make war against them. So when the missiles, when in obviously World War III, they're going to be killing and destroying each other in their nations. And then there's going to come a point where all the nations together are going to decide that to end the war, they're going to destroy America. The Lord's going to put that in their hearts and their minds, according to prophecy. All right? In fact, let me see if I can get that. Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. The whore is America. The 10 horns are the NATO states. Right? In the end, they're going to turn on America during the war, and they're going to destroy America. But before America, the missiles actually connect America. Yeah? The Lord is going to make his return to deliver his elect from that destruction. As it is written in the book of Job, the 5th chapter, the Lord is going to deliver us in 6 troubles, and in 7, no evil shall touch us. All right? Because the 7th trumpet represents what? The complete annihilation of America. The Lord is going to deliver his elect from that. All right? All right? Because when you carry on into the 17th verse, it says, for God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So for right now, these various NATO nations are riding with America into World War III. But there's going to come a point, right, where these various nations are going to turn on America, and they're going to destroy America and burn it with fire. All right? And it's at that point, pursuant to the book of Habakkuk, the Lord is going to come with his chariots of salvation. Let's get that in Habakkuk. Habakkuk 3 and 13. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Selah, thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses to the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. So the Lord is going to come to deliver, what's that, Isaiah the 26th chapter, his elect, to hide them from the indignation of those nuclear missiles. And then the Lord's going to commence to destroying the remainder of the armies. Isaiah 26:20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment. Salakia. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. The indignation is them missiles being launched by these various nations, them nuclear missiles. All right. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. All right. And so if we jump to Barry. Second Esdras goes into what's going to happen. So once the war starts, these different nations are going to basically be killing each other until a point where they decide they're going to destroy America. And then the Lord turns up at that point to deliver his elect out of that tribulation. Then the Lord's going to set his sights upon the remainder of the armies of these nations. All right. 2 Esdras 13 and 1. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were under him. So like I said, that's the return of the Lord. The Lord's going to make his return when America is at the point of being destroyed, to deliver his elect out of that instruction. All right. And he's coming with the thousands of angels in Matthew. Well, you also see the Jude 1. I wanted the one in Matthew's. Is it Matthew 25? Which one? I'm trying to think of where it is. Give me a second, man. It's just I'll find it. Could have been sure it's Matthew. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, that might be the one. Right, so we can get 25:31. That was one I wanted. Can also get 24:31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So when the Lord comes and the missiles are flying, the Lord's actually going to send his angels out to deliver his men out of that tribulation. Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. All right. Should be another scripture as well. I think that Jude was. Yeah, that's actually a scripture I was thinking of. Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. So that's talking about when the Lord returns, the Lord's going to come, as it speaks here in second Esdras. He's going to come with the thousands of heaven. He's going to come with them holy angels. And the first job of the angels is to gather together the elect. So the angels are actually going to collect the elect to the Lord from America and from all the different lands which they be scattered, and gather them up into the marriage of the Lamb, gather them up into the chariots, man, to hide them from the indignation. All right. So once that's done, let's read on. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, and he turned his countenance to look, and all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And these are talking about the different military men and women that are going to be still around, okay, after America's destroyed. All those different armies, they're going to come together to fight against the Lord. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven. That's talking about all the different armies, the remainder of all the different armies of the world, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew upon it. That's his chariot. But I would have seen the region or place wherein the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. And that goes hand in hand with what we were reading in Revelations, the 19th chapter, where it speaks about and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped the image. These both were cast alive in the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And the remnant was slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. All right, so the Lord is going to destroy these people, man. He's going to cook them up, bake them down. All right, he's going to roast them. Hey, so with that, hey, these different programs they do, showing all these militaries, and that the end of all these militaries is destruction. Or, they're going to be brought to naught, man, real soon. All right, so with that, I'm going to say shalom.